Hey, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to talk about my reading stats for the first quarter of 2023. I can't believe we are already this far into the year. So yeah, I'm going to talk about my stats and also do a bit of a goal check-in. So let's dive in. So first off, let's talk about my reading goal for 2023. I had wanted to read 75 books for the year, which I know is like lowballing it a little bit because last year I read over 100 books, but normally I make a goal of 60 books and I wanted to kind of up it a little bit. So my goal is 75, and for January, February, March, I read 24 books in total, so I'm well on my way to reaching that goal of 75. So of those 24 books, that totaled 8,056 pages. 13 of the books were physical print books, 3 were ebooks, and 8 were audiobooks. I did have one reread in this quarter, and that was Broken Hearts by R.L. Stine. This was a book I read as a kid and wanted to revisit it around Valentine's Day, so I did. And it was a lot of fun. And then I had one DNF, just one, which is kind of surprising. In this quarter, I DNF'd Bonk by Mary Roach. It just wasn't my vibe, so I did not complete it. For this quarter, I had a hard time, well, not really a hard time, but it took me a while to get a 5-star read, and I ended up only having 2 5-star reads this quarter, and they both happened in March, and they both were middle grade books. So yeah, the 5-star reads are not just coming to me this year. Maybe that'll change in the next quarter, but one of my 5-star reads was Planet Earth is Blue by Nicole Pantelikos. Absolutely loved this book. The other 5-star read was Guts by Raina Telgemeier. It's a middle grade graphic memoir. Also loved. But yeah, that was it for the 5-star read. So hopefully in quarter 2, that number's a little higher. So as far as genre breakdowns go, this is not a surprise, and this seems like it happens every year in quarter 1, but my highest read genre for quarter 1 was middle grade. I always blame this on middle grade March because in March I mostly read middle grade books. So yeah, I read 8 middle grade books in quarter 1, followed by the second genre is mystery thriller, which again, not a huge shocker. I read 4 of those. And then I read 2 classics, 2 like literary fictions, 2 horror books, which is kind of low for me, and 2 memoirs and 2 YA books. And then I read 1 nonfiction book and 1 historical fiction book. And now sort of diving into my 2023 goals and doing a bit of a check-in. How are they going? First of all was my reading goal to read 75 books, and like I said, I'm at 24, so I'm doing great with that one. I have no concerns about reaching 75 books this year. I had another goal though to get my physical TBR, so the books that I own on my shelves that I have not read yet. I want to get that number down to 75, which I think when I started the year, it was in the 90s, I think, somewhere. And it seems really easy to get that number down, but it's not as easy as it seems. But currently my physical TBR right now today is sitting at 76, and you think, oh, you're only 1 book away, you're gonna meet that goal. But the problem is when you buy books, the number goes back up. So I've been pretty good this year about not buying a lot of books, or if I'm buying a book, I'm reading it right away, so it's not sitting on the shelves. So that's going to be the challenge, I think, is to, yeah, getting to 75, I don't think will be that hard, but staying at 75 or below, that's where the challenge is going to come in. And obviously the big factor for that is, what am I bringing in? So I think if I just sort of keep going with like really limiting what I am purchasing and hauling and just keep reading off my shelves, I hopefully will be able to meet this goal. I also pick a big book every year to read, like a book that's at least 500 pages or more that I want to just dive into through the year. And this year I chose Swan Song by Robert McCammon, and yeah, I haven't read this yet. Haven't haven't read it yet, but I obviously still am planning to. There's still a lot of year left. But yeah, this book comes in, this edition anyway, is 856 pages. So yeah, it's big. It's big, but I'm really excited to check it out. I don't know, maybe sometime this summer. For some reason, this seems like a summer book to me, so we'll see. I also had a goal, well, not really a goal, it was more of like a project that I'm kicking off this year in 2023, and that was to re-examine books that I have had on my shelves for at least 5 years. So books that I hauled 5 years ago but haven't yet read. I kind of made a goal to read those books this year. Otherwise, they have to be unhauled. I have to get rid of them. So there were 4, and I call this project my ReRevisit remix because it's already books that I have done book haul revisits on, and yet they're still here. So like I said, there were 4 books, and I have read 1 of them. So I'm 1 for 4, which is great. I think my plan for this is to read 1 each quarter, because why not? There's 4 books. So I have read Wish Tree, which is on that list. I read this just in March, for middle grade March. It was a 4-star read, so I'm glad that I finally got to it, that I enjoyed it, and that I can knock it off my physical TBR. I also wanted to take part in a couple of reading challenges this year, 3 of them specifically that I was kind of focusing on. So I am doing the Buzzword Reading Challenge. I am doing the Books in the Freezer reading challenge. And then I'm also doing 20 books by Black folks. And right now I am 25% through all 3 of those challenges, like exactly 25%. So that's great, because if I keep that pace, I will be at 100% at the end of the year. So that's working out great. I'm really enjoying it. They're all really fun challenges to do in their own way, because I love trying to find books to match the prompts and all that stuff. It's really fun. Yeah, so those are going very well. I also wanted to read 3 classics this year, and I've already read 2, so I'm doing great with that goal. One of the classics I read was Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin. This was really well written. It was my first time reading Baldwin, and I definitely want to read more of his work. This was a 4-star read. And then my other classic that I read was actually my first book that I completed this year, and that was 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. In that one, I think I gave 3 stars to. It was a difficult read, but one that I'm glad I read because it did have some interesting themes and all of that. It just was difficult to read. I also wanted to pick 1 book every month from my Kindle and read it, and I have done that so far this year. I'm 3 for 3, so that's great. That's definitely a trend I'm gonna keep going with for the rest of the year. It's going well. And then my last goal that I wanted to do or complete in 2023 was to read 5 Stephen King books, 5 new to me Stephen King books. And so far, I haven't completed a single Stephen King book, but I am working my way through Hearts in Atlantis right now. I actually only have maybe 100 pages left, so I'm getting there, I'm getting there. All right, so then I kind of wanted to just mention a couple of books that are sort of on my radar for Q2, books that I want to make sure I read in Q2. And the first one is part of that ReRevisit remix project. Like I mentioned, I want to try to read 1 every quarter. So in Q2, I'm hoping to read The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery. This is a nonfiction book about octopuses. I've heard amazing things about this. And though it's not something I would typically read like nonfiction wise, I still want to check it out. And then another one is for my Stephen King goal. I'm trying to read his books in chronological order. And obviously I'm skipping the ones that I have already read in the past. So the next one on my list is Black House, which he co-wrote with Peter Straub. And this is the sequel to The Talisman, which I read, I want to say I read that book like 8 or 9 years ago. I think I read it before my daughter was born. So it's been a long time, but I remember the gist of it. And so this one, I think, deals with the main character in The Talisman is a young kid, and I think he is now a grown-up, and I don't know if like he's got to do some things similar to what he did in the first book or what, I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I enjoyed The Talisman. I think I can't remember if I gave it 3 or 4 stars, but I liked it, so I'm definitely looking forward to reading the sequel. And then if I'm feeling ambitious, and like I said, I kind of want to read this book in the summer, I might try to start Swan Song, maybe get it going in quarter 2. I don't know if it will be completed. We'll see. If not quarter 2, I think quarter 3 is when I will really start to dive into this one. All right, guys, so those are my quarterly stats for quarter 1 and how like my goals are going and kind of some of my plans for the next quarter. Let me know down below if you have any interesting reading stats that you would like to share, because I'd like to know that. Are there any books that you are hoping to tackle in the next 3 months? Because I would love to know that as well. And that is it. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.